everybody, and thank you for joining me here in another video as part of our Discovering Aurora's True Nature virtual series. My name is Kristen, and I'm a naturalist with the City of Aurora here in beautiful and sunny Colorado. Today we'll be doing a few nature crafts with some items that we find in the natural world, including twigs, leaves, sticks of all shapes and sizes. But before we get there, I wanted to share a couple gee whiz facts with you. The first is that scientists believe that there is over 60,000 species of tree across the globe. That's a lot of different species, lots of diversity in all shapes and sizes. Here in Aurora specifically, our friends over at the Forestry Department have told me that we have about 200 species of trees across the city. And speaking of trees, we have almost 33,000 individual trees across our city, which is just awesome because trees provide so much to wildlife and to humans alike. Speaking of trees, I'd like to introduce you to this one. This is the Plains Cottonwood tree here at the Star K Ranch. Plains Cottonwood trees can be over 100 feet tall, though this one is about 60 feet, and they live about 100 years, maybe a little bit more. They love water, so anytime you see a Plains Cottonwood tree, you must be close to water because they really need lots of it to survive. Plains cottonwoods and other types of trees provide a lot of resources to animals. So wildlife like raccoons, squirrels, kestrels, owls will use this tree for many reasons. One thing that they'll do is they'll find food. So they can eat the twigs, the buds, the bark as food. They can also nest there, find protection from predators, all sorts of resources that trees provide for wildlife. And when thinking about trees and humans, we also get a lot of things from trees as well. Trees help us with our air, they help us with sequestering carbon, as well as keeping our soils healthy and secure. So, we're going to do a couple of crafts today, again using twigs and leaves that we find from trees here in Aurora, Colorado, and I will meet you back at the Nature Center to do those crafts in just a moment. Okay everybody, let's start our first nature craft. Today we are going to be making a naturalist paintbrush, something super easy and that you can quickly make at home. The supplies you're going to need to do this craft are first and foremost some of those natural items we talked about in the introduction. So I collected a few sticks and grasses that we are going to need. So you're going to need a handful of different grasses, sticks, leaves. You can set those aside. Then what you'll need is some sort of twine or ribbon, yarn, whatever you've got at home. Scissors will also be helpful. And then you'll need something to paint on. So a piece of paper, a sketchbook. You also need paint and something like an old paper plate to put the paint on. Now if you don't have paint at home, you can also use water. So this is just plain clear water. You can also add food coloring to your water to give it a color. Or you can make mud by adding a little dirt and water together to make mud. We all know how to make mud at home, I bet. All right, so how do we make these naturalist paintbrushes? So you're gonna gather together your sticks and your natural items. You're then gonna take a piece of twine and you're going to tie it together nice and tightly. So you'll do it a little bit like this, and you might need a friend or a family member to help you with this. And once you've got it tied nice and tightly, you're gonna use this as your paintbrush. Now, paintbrushes can come in all shapes and sizes, just like trees. So you might have a really extravagant paintbrush like this. You might choose to use just grasses like this one. Or maybe you're gonna do something different and use just leaves. Again, paintbrushes can come in all shapes and sizes, which is the beauty of these naturalist paintbrushes. You can also collect sticks and sort of shred them apart by taking the bark off and create just stick-specific paintbrushes. So whatever sort of tickles your fancy is perfect for this craft. Then once you've got your paintbrush ready, you've got it all tied together, you're gonna find the thing that you're going to paint on, and you're going to put your naturalist paintbrush into your paint color of choice. I'm using pink and brown and yellow, and then I'm gonna make my abstract painting. Make a little smiley face for today's craft. And there you have it, a naturalist paintbrush using things that we find in the natural world. Now, this last part is really, really important, and maybe should have been said at the very beginning, because when you're collecting your supplies, specifically these twigs and grasses and leaves, we want to make sure we are only collecting things that have already fallen from the trees or from the plants wherever we are collecting. We don't want to actually rip off a piece of flower or plant or twig from a tree because they're likely still using that. So again, only using twigs, grasses, leaves that have already fallen to the ground to make our naturalist paintbrush, and to then paint something new and exciting for your home, your office, for a friend. I also went a step further, which you can too at home, and I made a little frame out of some natural items for the artwork that I made this morning. So if you have a little bit of glue at home, you can glue together some leaves and sticks and then put your painting in the middle. If you try this at home, we would love to see what you've made, your masterpieces. So go ahead and use the hashtag Aurora Paintbrushes so that we can follow you, like the picture that you post, and see your masterpiece after you've created it. Thank you so much for joining me for this craft. We've got another really exciting one, so stay tuned for that.